right. Well, I will get started here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight for the Pharmaceutical Sciences Professional Programs. Specifically, we're going to be focusing on the Applied Drug Development Program and the Career Outlook. And tonight we have Chris McIntyre, who is our employer liaison, who will be doing most of the presentation and describing um, what the program does for our enrollment, for our enrollees, and what career support they have. So the agenda tonight, the introductions, we'll go over a very brief program overview. We'll go through career breakdown, including outcomes and potential career paths, as well as program support, internship and research options, and then next steps and any questions. And from there, I'm going to hand it off to Chris and he'll make his introduction.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. As was mentioned, my name is Chris McIntyre. As the employer liaison of the ADD, MS, and certificate program, my role is to really do two things. The first is to help with all things students development. So that's career exploration, everything related to jobs, careers, kind of professional development. That's where I come into play. And I do that through, and I'll talk about this in a few slides, but I do that through meeting with you individually in groups and workshops. So that's kind of part one of my job. Part two of my job is all things employer relations. So that means getting them to recruit our students, whether it's through events, recruiting things that they host, virtual spotlights, anything and everything related to hiring UW-Madison ADD talent is where I come into play, whether it's, again, the student side of career development or the employer side of hiring our students. So I'm happy to be here. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about everything related to the career outlook. And so if we kind of go to the next slide, very briefly, we'll do a quick overview of the curriculum and the courses. And as you can see, this is the MS degree, which is 30 credits. And if you go to the next slide, actually, if you could skip ahead, you can see we actually have two different degree options for students to consider taking. We have our graduate capstone certificate and our Master of Science in Pharmaceutical Sciences degree. Our capstone certificate is nested into our MS program, so students who want to just dip their toes or try out the program, or who maybe didn't quite meet eligibility requirements, can still apply for the certificate with the intention to eventually move into the MS. And that is quite common for a lot of our capstone students, just to continue on after kind of testing the program. And it's kind of a nice just on-ramp to finishing up the MS. One thing to also note is our curriculum is updated each year to stay relevant in the field. So this right now is just a visual of our current curriculum that students in either program can expect. And we do this really through tapping our industry experts. We have an advisory board, which I'll also talk about in a few slides, where we really rely on industry experts to tell us what are important for students and graduates to know, because we want to make sure we're preparing our students to be successful and make an impact in pharmaceutical sciences. So next, I'll talk a little bit just about career advancement. So if we think about technical skills and 21st century skills, we really want our students to provide a variety of skill building within the curriculum. This means from physical lab and technical skills such as data analysis, knowledge of the drug development process, and experimental techniques, to more soft skills or 21st century skills, or sometimes also called transferable skills. This is kind of what we talk about when we think about this in the resume context. These include things like communication, critical thinking, problem solving, and also leadership, which are also, again, hugely important to be successful. So we really try to do both technical and those transferable skills within the curriculum. We are a highly ranked school of pharmacy and are proud to be a part of it, and we intentionally include industry professionals in our faculty base. Our program is versatile and flexible to meet students where they're at, with the ability to control how many courses you take each semester. One or more to complete the program in 12 months, up to 4 years. And your modality, which means you can either do it fully online or hybrid. So some courses at campus and others fully online. We also have high-touch advising opportunities to support you, both in terms of academic advising and career development advising, which I'll discuss in the next few slides. So first, I really want to kind of get into this idea of field-based project experience. A big part of the ADD program, in the MS anyway, is that you're required to complete a 4-credit course as part of the program, PharmSci 760. This is required, and it gives students the opportunity to incorporate the skills that you gain in your courses into a real work setting. Now, To break it up a little bit further, the fieldwork experience often takes three forms. The first form is a new standalone internship, and that's usually for students who are not enrolled in the industry. Sometimes you'll hear students talk about, I have to get my internship, I'm doing my internship search. That's one type of the fieldwork experience that we offer. The second are for permanent new full-time roles secured while or in or near the end of the program. That could be for students who want to do their fieldwork experience, let's say at the very end, after they've completed all of their other academic requirements. They get a job that's permanent and full-time within the industry. And the first few months of that in the summer usually is when that fieldwork experience would be counted, that 760 course. So that's number two. The third is program-related project at the student's workplace. So if you're employed in the industry already at a pharmaceutical sciences organization, you can do a new project related to your curriculum and have that actually count as your fieldwork experience. So to clear up any confusion, whether it's internship, full-time, a project, it all falls under the same umbrella of this field-based project experience. As you can see on the screen, these are just an example of where some of our students end up on their field-based project experiences. And again, we have a nice mix of students looking for internships, full-time roles, or professionals who work at these organizations who take our program and have a new project as that 760. One thing to also note is that part of this fieldwork experience, you're going to be enrolled in an attached course that will meet weekly with other students that are also completing PharmSci 760. And in this course, you'll cover work-related topics, which includes things like navigating workplace dynamic, conflict resolution, and reflecting on your journey thus far. And because this course includes all other ADD students, you'll have a chance to network with peers in all types of positions. So that way, let's say you are an upcoming graduate taking your internship as your field-based experience course, you'll get a chance to network with folks who are professionals and doing a project as their 760. So that way it's a nice mix and you get different perspectives based on ages, based on backgrounds, and based on types of organizations and works. So all situations, whether it's internship, full-time, or a project at your current organization, allow for professional growth and development through not just skill building, but also connection with your colleagues and classmates. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more about kind of how I envision program support of career development. And I'm a visual learner, so I kind of like to break it up into three distinct tiers and levels. The first is curricular, the second is program level, and the third is individual. And it's really important for me to understand that each of these levels are important because each give you specific tools and the skills to succeed in the job search. And you'll have an opportunity to stay up to date with your courses, engage with employers through the program, and have an individual job or career strategy based on your specific situation. So if we start at the very top of kind of this funnel, the curricular level, this ensures that your classes prepare you for your career. We partner with employers. That way we ensure that you're learning relevant skills in demand. I mentioned the advisory board a few minutes ago. That's a group of 6 or 7 employers in the pharmaceutical sciences or biotech space, and we meet twice a year. And a lot of that is feedback sharing and information gathering. We get information on the market, on what they're hiring for, graduates, trends, and we get recommendations for courses and things we need to make sure that we include within the program. So that's a big piece of the curriculum support because a lot of this happens behind the scene. But just know throughout your time in the program, we work to make sure we're giving you the cutting edge curriculum that you'll need to succeed. If we go next to the program level, this includes opportunities that are cultivated specifically for ADD students. Things like employers seeking resumes, and we'll put together a resume packet of students interested and available for those employers, hosting networking events that are just for ADD students, as well as career development workshops that I put on that are designed to prepare you for the job search. So if you think about curricular level as the bigger overarching what you're learning in the program level support for career development is more about what the ADD specifically offers for you. And I do that through the context we have through attending conferences, but also word of mouth. So I like to hear from students what you're looking for, what kind of employers you're looking for. So I take all this information and I do my best to actually get a nice balance of employers and opportunities just for ADD current students. But then also, if we kind of go down to the individual level, I also understand that each student is different. Because of that, I really want to emphasize that we meet you where you're at. I will meet with you multiple times throughout your time in the program, and I create a job search plan that's based on your location, your interests, your background, your undergraduate education, and other factors that may be important to you. I always say we're not a placement agency. but we will give you the tools to succeed at each of these levels, curricular, program, and individual. So that way you're ready to go, whether you're a new graduate or you've been in the field for 5 to 10 years and are looking to make some sort of change within your career. So briefly, I'm going to I'm going to go over real quick some alumni outcome data. The caveat to this is this changes year by year. So I do my best to update this every year. And I do that through postgraduate surveys that I send immediately at graduation. So I make sure every student who graduates from our program will get a postgraduate survey so we know where students are at. So that way we have reliable data that we can share with prospective and current students. But we also branch our alumni network to make sure it grows to be robust. And to that point, we launched in 2020. And since then, we had 5 graduates in our first class. And now we've got nearly 75 alums in the last 6 years, which is a pretty hearty increase, I'd say. And a cool thing to me about that is that they're located throughout the country, whether it's the Northeast, like New York, Massachusetts. We have a lot in the Midwest, unsurprisingly, but not just Wisconsin, also places like Illinois, Indiana, as well as other places around the country, including California, North Carolina, and New Jersey. The point of that is to say that our students are from everywhere and they go everywhere. Some of them secured roles and moved to those opportunities. Others actually took our program when they were in other states. So it's a nice mix, but it also creates a community in the sense of no matter where you're all connected through the ADD program. And real quick, we also have about 50 enrolled. That's stayed pretty steady in the last year or two. And if you look at the last bullet point, I should say, from classes 2023 to 2025, 100% of students who responded to our postgraduate survey were employed in pharmaceutical sciences within the first month of graduation. Now, I do want to caveat to that 2 things. The first is that I mentioned this, but I want to emphasize this is for students who completed the postgraduate survey. We have a pretty high knowledge response rate, but this is just for the students who completed the survey. The second piece of it, you'll notice that it's 2025. I send out a survey every single summer, late May, early June. So 2026 will be updated in late summer. So these are students from beginning of 2023 all the way up until May 2025. So just to clear up any confusion of that. Obviously, this may look different in 2026 just based on the market and other factors and everything else going on. But I do want to note that because we're pretty proud of that. That shows that we're doing something right because our students are fully employed within the industry that they're targeting. I also want to emphasize in my last slide a little bit about the specific opportunities you'll have as a UW student. While the Applied Drug Development programs will give you ample opportunities to engage with employers, you're also going to be part of the greater UW-Madison community. That means that you will have access to opportunities and resources available to UW-Madison students and graduates as a wider institution. And a couple of those I wanted to call out. So first, at the very top, UW hosts 2 campus-wide career and internship fairs, one big one in the fall and one big one in the spring that just ended a couple weeks back, as well as smaller, more specialized career fairs based on your major, based on your college, or based on any sort of identification that you have. Global companies offer specialized events like information sessions and site visits just for UW students. For example, Moderna will have something available to all UW-Madison campus community as a whole. And as an ADD student, you'll have access to go to all of those through Handshake, which is our internal job board. Some of you may be familiar with Handshake if you've graduated college in the past decade, but that's essentially an internal job board that functions just like anything else, like an Indeed or LinkedIn Jobs, only it's specifically for UW-Madison students. And so that way you'll have access to not just ADD jobs and opportunities that we put your way, but you'll also have access to Handshake's jobs and events. So you'll be able to apply to everything that's on there. A couple other things that UW-Madison has license for that I'd highly recommend using. Going global, number one. That's a great place to find international jobs and internships, as well as Big Interview. I did a session yesterday just on interview, and I mentioned Big Interview, but it's a great place to practice interviewing because you have access to video yourself, practice questions, and again, you'll have access to this as a UW-Madison student. Second to last, beyond graduate school access, that's also another resource for you for all things career. They'll host events, they'll host career development workshops on all things related to careers and jobs, but it's also tailored just for master's and PhD students. So that way you're able to kind of have your own specific platform through beyond graduate school that undergraduates won't have. Finally, Badger Bridge. I'm a big believer in Badgers helping fellow Badgers. And one thing we've done in the last year or two is really leaned on some of our alums. They're proud of our program and we're proud of them. So we make sure that they're involved, whether it's through networking with our students, or it's through hosting spotlights, or it's through giving them referrals if at all possible. So you've got the ADD network of alums at your disposal, but you also have UW-Madison alum at your disposal too. UW is obviously a big, big institution with thousands, hundreds of thousands of graduates nationwide. Badger Bridge is UW-Madison's alumni database, and you'll have graduates eager to help you out in your search. So that way you don't just have your ADD group, you also have the greater UW-Madison alumni network at your disposal to help you network, informational interviews, and just give good advice because job searching can be tough. And we want to make sure you have all the resources to do it, whether it's something I can help you with or another UW-Madison graduate can as well.
All right. Well, I will take over from here. Thank you so much, Chris, for all of that information. That was really, really helpful. So the next steps is connecting with me or connecting with Chris. Um, the information that with some important deadlines as well as my contact information is on the screen here. And if you're thinking about applying, I highly suggest getting in contact with me, especially if you're thinking about applying for the fall 2026 semester or even spring for both the capstone as well as the master's program. Um, because the due dates are coming up pretty quickly. April 30th for the master's, and for the capstone certificate, that is May 31st. But I'm happy to look over your application materials. And if you also would like to connect with one of our program ambassadors, I'm happy to connect you to them to give you more information about for how student experiences have been within the program. So my contact information is on the screen here.